newest tech and the biggest time save in the NMG category in years in the spooky action glitch. And just within the past 48 hours, we have a brand new world record for Link to the Past no major glitches from undeniably the best player to ever play this category, Zelda, who came in with a blazing 123.13. So it's been a great year for Link to the Past. It's been a great tournament, and this will be a great race to cap off the first half of the year and what I would say has been a successful 2018 NMG tournament.
Yeah, it's been an amazing year. This game is so... There's so much with this game, and it's great to see this category. You know, the glitch categories were getting a lot of attention for a while. And it's great to see this category, the kind of main category of the game, getting some attention now. Does look like we've started. Weirdly, Josh seems to have matched his text a little bit slower than BluntBunny there. I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe he was distracted by something there.
I do need to interrupt. I did forget. We also had the third 123 ever from Darkmind Demon, another runner in this tournament. Just the other day, he also got a 123. So now there are 3 123 players in the world. Just another thing to cap off what has been an exciting half year in Link to the Past speedrunning. Thank you, Timon, for reminding me of that kind of a dumb oversight on my part.
Yes, Darkmind Demon also with an amazing performance in this tournament. Unfortunate ending to his race with TZH, but he showed us some of the sharpest play we saw all year for sure. Just an amazing player.
Yep. But you know, we now, as we start off this last race of the tournament, our runners are making their way through Escape. Blunt and Josh are back to back on the leaderboard in the 5th and 6th position, as I recall. Very similar PBs. Pretty similar play styles as well. Both of them try to stay as up to date on the latest in strats and tech. And both of these runners, as we mentioned before, are also 2 of the people that produce a lot of tutorials and resources through the community. So high-level play is to be expected all around.
Yeah, certainly they're both, they contribute a ton, and they're, you know, very kind of contemporary players, always doing the newest stuff, always testing out very small time saves in a lot of rooms. You know, they both keep up to date with the room leaderboard, where people keep track of the frame counts from the practice hack. I've seen them doing that in person at AGDQ, just going room by room and saying, oh, I can, you know, this was bad because I can do this room 2 frames faster, you know. And just incredible willpower from both of these players and incredible talent. BluntBunny having a bit of a trouble on the ball and chain guard there. So Josh will, despite perhaps the mashing problem he had in the house, will be a couple seconds ahead here coming out of this sequence.
Yep. The room leaderboard that you just mentioned is one of the newest resources that we have available to help exchange information about strats and tech in the community. I just posted a link to that in the chat. That's strats.alttp.run, and that is another fantastic resource by Poor Little Pincus, creator of the practice hack, that has pretty much made revolutionized learning this game.
And I believe one of our claims to fame as a community and as a game, obviously we have the most popular randomizer, but I believe we also had the first practice hack, right? I believe Pincus's was the first major practice hack to come out on any game.
It would be that or Super Metroid. I know it started with ACMLM's save state hack. And that's pretty much the genesis that all of the practice hacks. Dots Are Cool's SMW practice hack may not have been too far behind, but Link to the Past is definitely one of the most well-rounded, you know, out of the big 3 that are out there: SMW, ALTTP, and SM. You know, Link to the Past, since the practice hack came out, certainly a lot of sub 130 runners that pretty much didn't have a prayer of getting sub 130 that quickly before.
Yeah, and many props to Pincus for that. He's an incredible contributor to the community, and also an incredible gamer himself. Does, I believe, still have that no EG world record, right? In Link to the Past.
Yes.
And also has, I think, the number 4 time, and in No Major Glitches, and also in those other 2 games you mentioned, has very good times in Super Mario World and in Super Metroid. So,
yeah.
Incredible player, Pincus. We are seeing our players get somewhat bad patterns on some of these rooms. We saw Josh having trouble with the snakes there, giving Blunt just a little bit of opportunity to catch up from the problems he had with his ball and chain guard.
And Josh having an unfortunate key rat there, letting Blunt kind of swing back into the lead, but only by a handful of frames. So our runners are going to make their way through these last 2 rooms and pull the switch on the right, not the left, and make their way into the Sanctuary. I would say it's a safe bet, as they did in both of their first 2 races. They will be grabbing the Sanctuary Heart.
Yeah, I would think so, especially with, having lost a heart already and having maybe both of them showing a little bit of nerves and getting some bad RNG and escape. Both of them are thinking, I'm going to go grab this heart. Both of them getting caught against the priest, the sticky priest.
He is quite sticky.
Yeah, kind of an odd similarity there that they both had that same problem.
So we are now going to make our way onto the first Light World dungeon, Eastern Palace. If you have not watched a race of Link to the Past before, you might ask, well, why are they going so slow? I thought this was a speed run. Well, this is as fast as we can move right now, and hopefully we'll be getting through Eastern Palace pretty quickly, and then the speed will begin. But for now, you're going to see the runners focusing on accurate walking movement, basically walking as little distance as possible, not going too far out of their way. You're going to see a technique called pumping, where they mash alternating perpendicular directions on their D-pad to get little pixel boosts. Other things like making sure that they 20 rupee drop from Blunt. That sets him up nicely on his rupee route. Entering doors, entering these 1-tile wide paths cleanly. Yeah, that's the type of movement that lets these runners perform at the level that they do.
Similar cannonball patterns there. You can save just a little bit of time if you don't need to wiggle back and forth. The diagonal movement is 1 pixel in each direction, whereas the cardinal movement alternates 1 and 2 pixels just in the one direction. So cardinal is faster for moving cardinally, and diagonal is faster for moving diagonally, which is pretty much exactly what you would expect.
Very good stealthos kills from both runners, as is to be expected. Make their way around the loop of Eastern Palace. Both of them are going to pick up this optional arrow pot here. You could gamble and get your arrow drops from the Igors later in the dungeon, but you have a 12.5% chance of losing all of your arrow drop coin flips and finding yourself having a bad time. Both runners booming that popo. Blunt, I guess it makes sense because he's got the 25 rupees he needs already, but Josh only has 5, and you would think he would have slashed that popo to try to get the rupee drop.
Yeah, I would have expected that as well, but we didn't see it happen. It's interesting about that arrow pod. It used to be that top players always skipped it, but I think people just did the calculation that, a 1 in 8 chance of wasting a second is not as bad as a 1 in 8 chance of wasting 3 seconds. So, people run for consistency now a lot more than they run for, perfection in the early stages, because even if you get the early stages perfect, you still need to do the rest of the game. And I think the general speedrunning kind of ethos has moved towards playing in a way such that you can finish a lot of runs.
Yep. You get a lot better by getting the Triforce than you do resetting an Eastern. I'll tell you that. So, making your way through the Dark Igor room here. Blunt going with a 1/. I think Josh went with a no/. Hard to tell. He's got a bit of a slideshow going on, but I think I saw that right. Popo still alive.
We did see Blunt getting even more rupees. And neither player with really a good cannonball pattern. Josh evading very well and back in the lead, but having a very rough Zelda gamer room.
Yeah.
Oh, Blunt barely saving those red Igors. What an interesting beginning to this race.
And there's a 20 drop for Josh, so the rupee situation is ameliorated. All you got to do is get approximately 14 rupees before the end of Hera, with 30 and 25 respectively. Both runners are set.
And I definitely think it's fair to say, 10:44 for Blunt and 10:46 for Josh. These are not bad Eastern times, but certainly both of them are going to be behind their PBs. Both of them are going to be starting to think, I got to get it together at some point as we move into the boots movement of the game and some of the harder sections of the game.
Yeah, neither Blunt or Josh are big on screen watching. Both of them probably have the chat up, but I would say that neither of them are watching watching their opponent.
Yeah, and that's something that it's interesting. My views on this have changed throughout the tournament. Through the beginning of the tournament, I thought it's so interesting that you can watch the screen and alter your strats, based on where your opponent is and how they're doing, and you can just decide how to play it safe or not play it safe or so on. But the very top players, when I ask them in interviews, do you watch your opponent? They say no, it'll just distract me, and I just want to play my game. I just want to play the strats I know. Josh, unfortunately, picking up that bush. And so that's been a lesson for me, actually, to not overthink the game and to try to focus on just doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you
Josh
find
also bonking there.
Yeah, you find yourself getting in a lot of trouble when you start trying to adjust things on the fly instead of just going with what you practiced. Real quick, we're seeing the first of our Japanese 1.0 exclusive minor glitches here. This is called spin speed. When you get the boots, you can charge up your sword and release your sword spin, and on the frame after the sword spin is released, you can press A and get put into a glitch state. And then if you touch or leave some of those manual stairs, like the ladder in front of the library, it kind of puts you into this free running mode where you can move at the dashing speed, but in a fully controlled manner in all directions. So you'll see that a number of times throughout the run. Saves a good chunk of time. Some of the spin speeds you'll see will save seconds. Some of them will save a handful of frames. But it is a pretty ubiquitous speed tech throughout this run.
We have seen Josh having just a couple problems on this overworld, and Blunt will have about a 5-second advantage going into Desert. In the previous two races in these finals, we did see Josh doing somewhat better on Lanmolis with, I believe, a 2-cycle versus a 3-cycle in the first race and a 3-cycle versus a 4-cycle in the second race. So possibly a place where he'll make up some time, but we'll just have to see. There's also enemy RNGs with cannonballs and popos throughout Desert, so lots for these players to react to, and hopefully Josh can work not to make this gap any larger in these very early stages of the race.
Yep. Arrow counts, by the way, identical. Both of the racers are going to be going into the Lanmolis fight with, I believe, 28 arrows, which is a pretty good count. So it should set them up nicely for... Ooh, Josh having a little bit of trouble cutting his dash short and then dashing down into the BMOS.
Yeah, just kind of, so far has not been Josh's day yet. I know it doesn't look like a big gap, but between players of this caliber, It's quite a bit early on, but you know it hasn't been perfect from Blunt either. We did have that the problem with the ball and chain guard, and yeah, we're gonna have to see which of these racers stabilizes first.
Of course, the Landmola's fight can certainly be a differentiator coming up. This is the first big instance of RNG in the run, the patterns that the boss gives you, and whether or not you can adjust to those patterns and quickly kill your worms will either save or cost you a good chunk of time. Blunt going for another spin speed there coming out of desert, and Josh is going to do the same. This is a pretty risky spin speed. Josh actually not getting it, so he's going to just fail back and walk. That spin speed saves about 40 frames, about 2/3 of a second. But messing it up, you can potentially jump off the ledge there and have to redo the whole first part of desert over again. So risk reward, but that's the type of calculation that runners at this level will make.
And Blunt with the slightly better Popo RNG there, but Josh dealing with his well. We do see the gap has widened to about 7 seconds, which is as large as the gap ever was before Josh's death in race 2. So we're going to see how these Landmola's fights go. Another bonk from Josh there. I guess we'll both watch them separately.
Yeah.
Josh down to 2 hearts. Really, really worrying on the other side.
All right, I'll keep an eye on Blunt. Blunt not having the best first cycle. Not having the best second cycle either.
Josh with an amazing start. But gets hit. Very nice early 3 cycle for Josh. 2 cycle, but pattern, and has made up some time like I expected there.
Yeah, and an early 4 for BluntBunny. So they were a little more than a Landmola cycle apart before, and now they are just about a handful of seconds apart. So
yeah, it's still an appreciable distance between the two, but you know, it was really mostly the RNG that Josh benefited from there. He was able to land 7 arrow shots in his first cycle, and then just got 1 shot per landmo in the second cycle and the third cycle.
Yeah, Josh got tagged, by the way, by a Geldman, one of the sand people coming out of desert. So he is behind by approximately 7 seconds now. Blunt getting a little bit of bad RNG with the pickle jumping in the way while going for the fake flippers. Had to go around. Blunt, meanwhile, or Josh, meanwhile, was able to dash right on past, save a little bit of time there.
Small strat difference you've seen between the two of them there. To do the fake flippers, Blunt keeps his sword held out there, and Josh does not. Can you explain for the viewers maybe what is the difference there, and how much time do you think it saves?
It saves a single-digit number of frames, maybe just 1 or 2. The thing is when you start moving upright, after so many frames of movement, you can drop your sword and keep holding upright, and still end up on the right cue. You know, and obviously you move quicker without your sword held out. Holding the sword out is fail-safe. If you slash the bush and hold upright during the slash, you're going to land into the water on the right frame. But dropping your sword does add an element where you can mess it up easier. So again, we're talking about single-digit frames, that level of optimization, it's, you know, that the runners will go for. Josh opting for it, and Blunt, meanwhile, Blunt getting absolutely wrecked on top of Death Mountain.
Completely destroyed there.
And then stopped by the squirrel twice. Wow.
We're almost tied up again, and Josh with the more hearts.
And that is why I call it the aggro crag. Shout outs to my 80s brethren in the chat that grew up on Double Dare and Guts.
This is amazing. We're back even up.
1936 entrance for both of them.
And it's Blunt now that needs to worry about hearts, whereas it had been Josh in that desert.
Ooh, and Josh hugged the mini Moldorm in the lobby, so he's down to 4. As long as... Okay, so Blunt's got the... what you just saw there is a from both runners is another Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch. Infinite dash, by the way, from BluntBunny. A little bit of swag on the left-hand side of your screen. And the Japanese 1.0 version, which is what these runners are using, if you dash and use an item on the same frame, so you press A and Y together, certain items will allow you to start your dash while throwing the item. And with the boomerang, they're able to throw the boomerang down at the crystal switch while dashing over. And the lineup that they used allows them to land on the pegs and use those iframes from being stuck on the pegs to basically just hang out and take a break in the tile room. You'll see that a few more times with hammer dashes and hook dashes and maybe a medallion dash later on, but it's a pretty useful addition to the arsenal here.
Neither player getting their arrow drop, but it's okay. I'm not mad.
Yeah, both of them had pretty decent land molus fights. They're still at pretty good arrow counts. 13 and 14 coming out of Hera is about where you want to be, if not a little bit better. We're now coming up on the first bomb jump of the run. They're going to place a bomb and then get within a certain number of pixels from the pit, depending on the strat that they use. Both of them are going to use the bonk. So, ooh, Blunt messed up the bomb jump.
Yeah. We did see Blunt going for an extra heart now. He's happy about it. Interesting that he went for that heart and Josh skipped it. Both of them will have 2 hearts going upstairs here.
That, now, what... You know, you say, well, he missed the bomb jump. What good thing can you say about that? First of all, he just got that bomb drop there, so he's back on his bomb route. Most people, if they miss the bomb jump, they're falling.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so... I can't even keep track. I can't keep track of this. What's going on?
Moldorm just rejected Josh on the jump into the arena, just swatted him out, and now Blunt is back in the lead. And Josh
and now Blunt is off.
What is this?
I can't. Well, Josh's fight is going well now. I almost thought he was about to get knocked off there. I mean, I have to say, if neither of these players are watching their opponents, they must both feel that they are... I mean, neither player is having the run that you would expect.
Blunt down to 1 heart, but he is able to make it out of the fight alive. Whew. Okay. I am in a glass case of emotion, folks. What I was saying about the bomb jump, normally you would say, well, what good can you say about failing a bomb jump? 99% of the time, if somebody misses the bomb jump, they're missing it, they're falling in the pit, and they're going down a couple of floors, and bad things have happened. Blunt knew he wasn't going to get it and was able to adjust in such a way that the bomb boosted him down instead of up into the pit. So a little bit of quick thinking there on his part kind of mitigated the disaster. But then that roller coaster of Hera Moldorm fights has Josh back in the lead. And we talked about the rupee route earlier. What you're seeing here from the runners is that they're going to be pulling on this tree here. There's a counter of how many enemies you've killed and whether or not you've taken damage. And when you pull on that tree, it checks that counter. If you've killed 4 enemies, but you have taken damage, you're going to get blue rupees. Then they're going to kill 4 more enemies and pull another tree. When you pull that tree, it sees that you've killed 4 and that you haven't taken damage, and it's going to give you a red rupee prize. And those blues, the reds, and the drops that they've gotten in the early game are going to set them up on the rupees they need to get into Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, and as we look at these Master Sword times, 24:09 from Josh, and a 24:20 or 21 from BluntBunny. A 12-second difference that I guess, given that they both fell to Moldorm, is mostly represented by that bomb jump problem that BluntBunny had. Just such an incredible sequence of events. Really, both still completely struggling to find their rhythm. I mean, this is how I've felt since that escape. This is the very last race of the tournament, and they've both played so expertly well, but they also know who they're up against, and neither of them have found their comfort zone yet. And it's, you know, in Light World it doesn't matter so much, but we're going to be out of Light World very soon, and it's going to start to really be important. These little things are going to start being things that can kill you and that can completely end your run.
Yep. Yeah, nobody's really in the lead until after the Agahnim 1 fight with the coin flips of blue balls, but you know, you still don't want to give away too much time.
And just like looking at these small things, we saw 2 bonks from Blunt in Lost Woods, and we saw Josh getting hit by that green guard. There are so many little things that just almost never happen with players of this caliber, and it feels that like there's so many like 2 to 3% events that are happening in a row on both sides of the screen. And I hate to attribute everything to this, but the only explanation I can think of is that both of these players are taking this tournament really seriously, and they're just both very nervous.
Josh, again, he's shown this a few times, did not pull it off this time. He went for a backup for no beams in that Gold Knights room, and he's did not try to preserve his prize pack there, spinning the 2 blue guards, but got no drops, so he's set up for his Turtle Rock Fairy.
Very good luck for Josh. We did see last race, just to make sure everybody remembers, neither player had their Turtle Rock Fairy after that prize pack manipulation last race, and it was really that fact that, you know, we can attribute the deaths in Turtle Rock to that for Josh. So very good that he was able to keep that. And interesting that he did not go for the prize pack manipulation, despite the fact that that happened last time. And that just shows you that his mindset is to just do what he knows, and to do what he knows is quickest. And if he misses it, you know, he'll blame himself. He won't, you know, he knows he's supposed to get it. He knows he has the skill level. Really weird red guard. I don't think I've ever seen them both move up like that on Josh's side. That was very strange.
Yeah, I think it's one of the benefits of the way that Josh and a lot of the other runners do that room by starting out in the middle of the room. It lets them react to some of those more esoteric patterns, the double up that you saw there. Good circle of pots from both runners.
Yeah, Blunt getting the worst RNG, but just able to just boomerang that guard really quickly and put him in exactly the right position so that the guard doesn't interfere with that pot. That room can get very shady very quickly.
Yeah, so we are entering the Agahnim 1 fight now. A cycled fight, 5 attacks per cycle. You have to reflect 6 energy balls to kill Agahnim. Attack 1 is a guaranteed reflectable energy ball. 2, 3, and 4 are 50-50 energy or blue balls. Attack 5 is a lightning. Every blue ball costs approximately 6 seconds, except for blue balls 3, 7, 11, and 15, which cost an extra 6 from triggering another lightning cycle.
Both getting a blue ball at exactly the same time right there.
Second one for Josh.
Yeah, 2 for Josh, 1 for Blunt. So
Josh went into the fight a little bit quicker, so if it goes 2 for 1, 3 for Josh. So Josh is going to get a guaranteed lightning here. All right.
Wow. And 1 for Blunt yet again. This is reminding me of the first race where you know, Josh was behind, and Josh did win that race, but Josh was behind considerably just on blue balls. And Blunt has taken the advantage. That is something like an 18-second swing for 3 blue balls versus 1 blue ball.
Yeah.
But both players are in Dark World now, and I don't know exactly what the difference is. Probably something like 10-second advantage, 5 or 10-second advantage for BluntBunny now.
Yeah. A common theme, kind of due to the prevalence of randomizer, has been this idea that, well, shouldn't the runners run on a set ROM that gives the same amount of blue balls? Wouldn't that make it fair? I would gesture broadly towards the first race of these finals, where the winner had 5 blue balls and the loser had 1. So it's very rare, and I can probably count the number of times it's happened to me on one hand, where blue balls actually straight up decides a race. It's just not how this game works. It's an hour-and-a-half game or less if you're as good as these folks are, and that's not what's going to decide it. You know, every screen is fraught with RNG. How is this enemy going to move? How are you going to have to stop your dash? Wow, Josh getting very lucky there. His bonk off the tree and the iframes from the bonk let the little Dacto just fly through him instead of taking 3 hearts of damage. But every screen in this game has if there's an enemy on the screen, there's RNG to be dealt with. And there's no way to give both runners equivalent RNG. You know, and plus we're playing most of these, I'm pretty sure Blunt and Josh are playing on real carts on real consoles. So, you know, the game is the game. We're speedrunners. We play the game as Miyamoto intended. Well, kind of.
I think the game is a line from The Wire, the hit TV show.
Well, as the great Hunter Hearst Helmsley once said, or Lemmy, depending on your point of view, it's time to play the game.
Well, it is time to play the game in Dark World now. Both players trying to calm what has been an absolute maelstrom of just odd occurrences so far. And it's time now in Palace of Darkness to put all that to rest. We are going to have a very difficult trick with the bomb jump and some difficult rooms with the mimics and the turtles, and we're going to have a very difficult boss with a lot of RNG on him as well. A lot for these players to deal with in this dungeon.
Josh having a little bit of a menu mishap there, going to the lamp instead of the bombs. You mentioned the bomb jump. That is rather difficult. The second of 4 bomb jumps that you're going to see, the hammer jump, coming up on for both runners. BluntBunny actually wrote pretty much the definitive tutorial on hammer jump, so we expect a solid one from him here. You got to place the bomb and place Link on 2 specific y-axis coordinates here, which will allow you to use the damage boost from the bomb to clip through that rail and get onto the hammer chest ledge. Blunt having a few extra buffers. You get 2 free item buffers based off of where your menu should be and the fact that you need to menu to the bomb and back to the mirror.
Yeah, despite a very fast sword buffer to get the first placement, Blunt had maybe 5 buffers for the second, whereas Josh had, I believe, 1 buffer for each. So just slightly faster for Josh there. Certainly hasn't made up the blue ball gap yet. But if the first race has any sign, he will be able to find time in this Dark World.
Very nice, sexy statue from BluntBunny. Solid mimics from Blunt, and getting an arrow drop out of it. And another sexy statue on Josh's side. Now, Josh has messed up this mimics room, I think, in both races so far. Goes back to the strat that he's comfortable with. I know in at least one of the races he had tried out a somewhat newer strat where he killed the greens first, and it didn't work out. So he goes back with to what he's familiar with, and it all works out.
Well, Josh is like me. The order he kills the mimics depends on what's next in the prize pack. You really want to see if there's an arrow drop coming up next, you want to kill the pink mimic first, the red mimic first, so that you're running through it. Good turtle room from Blunt. But if it's a heart first, you want to kill the greenies first so that if they drop something, they'll drop that heart and possibly shift over to an arrow in the prize pack for the red, so that you can run through that as well.
Good
turtle room from both players.
Yep. We go into the Helmasaur fight. Helmasaur, 2 phases to the fight. First phase, you have 17 hammer hits to knock off the mask. Blunt is going to use the strat where he does not hold his sword out, lets him move around quickly, but adds a little bit of an element of danger as he can walk straight into the mask. Josh is going to do the same thing. After that mask is off, you're going to get in there and do 4 hammers or 4 spins or a combination thereof. And Blunt got 2 hammers a spin, finished it off with 2 slashes. Meanwhile, Josh has the mask off, and a very clean Helmasaur fight from Josh. 3
absolutely phenomenal from Josh there. He did take a hit, but when he was hit, he got a hammer hit off and then went right back in for the next one. So even taking a hit only lost him the 1/3 of a second that it'll take to refill the hearts here at the end. So very small gap between these runners here.
About 10 seconds separates the runners at this point. I think Josh has done that, I think, in just about, if not all 3 races now, where he's had just spectacular Helmasaur fights.
Yeah, and as somebody who holds the sword out, it's amazing how fast these players can get back up to the mask, just by knowing where to hit and knowing how to move after hitting.
Yeah, and that hitbox for hitting Helmasaur with the hammer is not that big. It's the difference between hitting Helma with a hammer, which is a hard phrase to say it 10 times fast, and walking into him and taking damage, the difference is not that big. But, we're on our way out of Palace of Darkness and going to make our way to the next dungeon. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to Dungeon 4. Nothing really prevents you from doing Dungeon 4 in this order. And we're going to do it first, or second, I should say, because it allows us to get the Tempered Sword quicker by way of the Titan's Mitts. So, and that Tempered Sword will make the bosses of Dungeon 2 and 3 a lot easier.
Yeah, and in a run that is in some ways a lot like the casual game, certainly this dungeon routing is different than a lot of us had it growing up, and it especially saves time for having the Tempered Sword in Swamp Palace. Saves time on the boss, but also on little enemies that you need to kill very quickly, and certainly saves time in Skull Woods as well, doing 4 and then 3 going straight north from Thieves Town, as we'll be seeing in just about 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Another spin speed here coming up. Blunt's going to get the spin speed off the ladder and use it to dash past the fastest guard in the kingdom, who we affectionately call Usain Bolt. Just due to the confined area that you encounter that guard, he can close in on you very quickly diagonally. So if you try to get past him walking or just charging normal dashes, he will tag you pretty quickly over and over. And Blunt is going for another spin speed here. This one is quite optional. Saves 10 frames executed perfectly. And he uses that menu buffer to make sure he gets onto the stairs and back off. Very well done.
Yeah, menu buffers are a beautiful thing about this game. Just wherever in an overworld you feel you need to keep an eye on something, that's where you put your menu, and everybody's are slightly different. It's just one of those places that everybody has their own taste, and you get to personalize the game a little bit.
Couple more item dashes in this segment with the hammer, allowing us to just mow down rows of pegs or individual pegs. And BluntBunny entering Thieves Town. So Thieves Town is intended to be a bit of a maze. You start off in these 4 big super tile-sized rooms, these 2x2 sized rooms with a lot of overpasses and underpasses where you can't really see where you're able to progress. But we're just going to go ahead and cut through them really quickly, get the big key, and that will be it. and we will move on to the dungeon proper.
Yeah, I remember in another, I think it's Gesellschaft, a very intelligent player of this game, who mentioned during another race that most of the dungeons in Link to the Past are very similar. That there's kind of a non-linear section at the beginning where you can go a bunch of places, and then either after finding the big key or finding the final item, you get into a section that's very linear at the end. And Thieves Town is an exception to that, where the back half of Thieves Town is actually quite non-linear as well. So kind of a unique dungeon in Link to the Past for that reason.
Both the runners having exceptionally bad luck in the Hellway. Josh lost a couple of hearts there. Blunt took one. But just Hellway out for blood today, living up to its name.
And Blunt also taking a hit from that grasshopper. It's very, I forget, how likely is it for you to get knocked out of some particular dash with an enemy in the way?
I think some of that is frame rule based, but
and that's usually 1 in 4, right?
I don't know the exact numbers. I just know that that a lot of those lottery type hits, which that grasshopper may or may not be, I think a lot of it's just frame rule based. Basically how the game checks for collision every 4 frames and how the dash movement works as far as the speed and speed of the enemy. There's some math there that a smart person could do.
Interestingly, Blunt getting a bomb there, Josh skipping it, Josh knowing with the new Mire tech, he probably does not need it. So Josh behind on arrows and bombs and time here, and hearts. They do have equivalent rupees, but that's not the hugest deal right now.
Yeah, now there's a couple of safety hearts that Josh could opt to pick up. I doubt he's going to. At this level, you know, if you get to blind with 1 heart, probably pretty okay. The blind fight is you'll hear the term batted around that it's a scripted fight, but it's more that if you do the same thing every time, blind will do the same thing every time. So we have a set pattern that we follow, devised by a speedrunning god Cypher, that basically lets you know what blind is going to do and react to it in a predictable fashion and get through the fight with minimal effort.
And perfect, blind barely in the light there for BluntBunny. Looks like Josh is on the pattern as well.
Yeah, if you have a weapon that can damage blind, it's 3 hits per cycle, and both runners executing very well.
Pretty much a frame-for-frame identical fight from the two of them.
Yep. Yeah, blind is, when you don't follow that script, so to speak, it is a very difficult fight. It's very fast and frenetic. There's a lot of moving things to dodge. But once you know what to do, it becomes one of the easiest boss fights in the game. About a 12-second difference between the runners, it looks like. And now, coming out of Thieves, we are going to do the errand that going into Thieves enabled us to do. We picked up those Titan's mitts, which will allow us to rescue the world's most useless frog who cannot save himself. And that frog, in exchange for us enabling him, will temper our sword. Very nice, just press A from BluntBunny.
Yeah, and just, this is the sort of small strat divergence that you will see from players at this level. Josh not going for that just press A. I think in the last race we did see Blunt picking up the bush, so it's risky. You know, you can save a few frames, you can lose a few frames.
Sometimes it turns into just press A, but worked out this time. So we are performing the series of mirrors and whatnot that allows us to drop the dwarf off and get the tempered sword, and then on to Skull Woods. Skull Woods, a very non-linear dungeon to start with, a very unique dungeon as far as Zelda dungeons go, where you have multiple entrances and exits. It's not something that you really see anywhere else in the Zelda series, a dungeon that you can just enter and exit in so many different ways. Kind of a unique element here. But we are not going to see a big chunk of that first maze-like portion. We're just going to get in and do the bare minimum, get a big key, get a fire rod, and get on with our life.
Yeah, it's one of the interesting things about speedrunning that some of the best elements casually, the maze and the puzzle elements, become some of the most trivial in the speedrun. So, that's an interesting shift. We do see Blunt coming up here on the mummy room, one of the critical rooms in this game, and having a little trouble, but doesn't lose that much time. Does lose 2 hearts, but we think he'll be okay without them.
Yeah.
And Josh getting exactly the same pattern. Both with this mummy just hugging them from the left.
Yeah, Josh opting to slash the mummy out of the way instead of taking the 2 hearts of damage. And now we're going to see our third bomb jump here in Skull Woods, very similar to the one in Hera. Hopefully it works out better than that one did for Blunt, and he is across with no problem. So the way these bomb jumps work is you have to be... Ooh, getting sat on by the Ropa, but then getting the fairy. The way these bomb jumps work is you have to be... If you're going to bonk off the wall... Oh! That was... kind of an unforced error from Josh, and that bomb might be too low. Okay, he's fine. If you bonk, you have to be 6 pixels or less away from the hole. If you don't bonk, you have to be 2 pixels or less away from the hole. And then the D-boost from the bomb will carry you across.
And that was an interesting sequence of events on Josh's side. He got hit by the Ropa, then he saw the fairy, he got the fairy, then he forgot he'd already switched to bomb, so he switched to lantern and then back to bomb. And then he missed his bomb jump and lost the 2 hearts that he had saved from getting the fairy anyway. So, I mean...
Both runners down 4 hearts.
Yeah. Interesting place for this race. A lot of things can happen here in this Mothula fight.
Both getting
Josh getting that better
fire
on the fire snake.
Okay, got the double dash to start it off, Blunt did. And then a poke dash, but then takes a hit from Moth, and now he's kind of got to dance around. Okay, clutches it out at the last. Still has 2 hearts, but Moth has none, and that's the way that we like it.
Yeah, very, very interesting position for this race coming out here. It does feel that Josh... Well, let's see how this Mothula fight goes.
Josh also taking a hit there, but is able to clean it up. Yeah, Josh pretty much... we talked about how Blunt wrote the tutorial on Hammer Jump. Well, Josh wrote the tutorial on Mothula. And as we have been doing, we've been grading Josh's Moth fights on the Josh grading scale. You lose 1 point out of 10 for every spike that moves. 4 spikes moved. Again, 6 out of 10. Another 60% for Josh. So, nothing if not consistent. And now we're going to move on to a little bit of a shopping trip here. By the way, you hear Blunt blowing the flute there, seemingly for no reason. He's actually resetting an altitude variable that will affect how the fire rod works in the first room of ice, allowing him to get an easier kill on an enemy in the first room of ice. But we're on our way on a little bit of a shopping trip. We got to pick up the Quake medallion that we're going to use later to get into Turtle Rock, and the flippers that we will need for Swamp. terribly out of the way, but this just happens to be the best time to go and do it. And about 23 seconds are separating the runners at this point.
Yeah, still a lot of run left. We've still got something like 45 minutes left, or 35 minutes left in this run. And it is the most difficult 35 minutes for sure. But we still haven't really seen Josh stabilize from that light world, and we have seen Blunt do so. So that explains why his gap is now larger than the advantage he got from those blue balls. And really, that skull from Josh just had, you know, it had 10 seconds of mistakes, so he's 10 seconds worse compared to Blunt than he was coming out of Thieves. Had a real kind of sequence of unfortunate events there, and we'll see how this ice goes.
Yep. So as we make our way through the remainder of this ice overworld, I want to take a real quick moment to say thanks to a few people. Of course, the entire Speed Gaming staff who has helped us out with restreaming and being the home to all of these races. Thank you to Feasel and Rick and Cyclone and Zelnus and Saku, and sure there's dozens more that I'm forgetting, but those are the names that come to me right now. I want to thank Greenham, who has been the brains behind this operation. Every time I wanted to do something in a stupid and manual way, he said, yeah, I'll just automate that, and basically saved a ton of time. I want to thank Lanxian, who has done a little bit of work in the background, helping to admin some of the races, getting races kicked off at the right time. I want to thank the SpeedRacing.tv team for putting together the new SpeedRacing.tv website, a very nice interface that has let us automate a lot of these races and made, I think, the race setup go very smoothly. Of course, to the 128 entrants to the tournament, thank you to all of you for participating. It's been an excellent tournament to watch, and I'm want to thank you all for being a part of it, and for everybody that has come by to the chat to cheer on your favorite racer. I want to thank all of you for helping to make this tournament as exciting and as wonderful as it has been, and to everybody who has pitched in on commentary. I'm not going to try to name names because there have been so very many, but everybody that has gotten on the microphone and put themselves out there to talk in front of hundreds or thousands of people, thank you to all of you. I appreciate all of your contributions, and hopefully whoever is brave enough to put on the next tournament, you guys will be able to participate again. And now that I'm done rambling, Ice Palace bomb jump. Which has been executed very well by BluntBunny. That bomb jump pretty much breaks the entirety of the Ice Palace puzzle. You're supposed to have to do a couple of loops around Ice Palace and put pegs up and put pegs down, but by... Ooh, Josh.
Josh down on hearts and has only one bomb, so let's just keep an eye on Josh for a second here. I think he's okay.
He's good with the setup.
Because, I mean, I'm sure he would have tried to hover, but that was a potential run-ender with only one bomb going in there. And that shows his mindset right now. He's thinking, I'm already down far enough. I can't spend time even picking up just one bomb. I do worry about his heart count, but I think he'll be okay going into Cold Stare.
Yeah, Cold Stare is a very lethal boss. The intended dungeon item of this dungeon is the blue mail. We're not getting that, so we are nigh defenseless. 8 fire rod shots quickly from Blunt. Going to spin him up into the corner to do a poke, a spin, and a slash. Very well done from BluntBunny.
And Blunt with a 54-15, still a very respectable time. All the things that happened in Light World, not really, you know, that's far in the past now. Oh no, and Josh, well, he's recovering. No, he's not.
Uh-oh. Stay on target, Josh. One hit from anything and he is dead. He has got to stay on target here. Dodges the ice very well. Dodged. Whew.
I would say Josh's run is on thin ice at the moment.
You know what? You would say that. You would say that, wouldn't you? I would say that too.
I would say a chill has come over Josh's chances in this tournament.
Yeah, this is, we're getting to endgame. There's not a lot of time left to make up a gap here.
And we're talking just about 10 seconds every split that Josh has lost. And obviously great that Josh survived that fight. But, just the hit from the nerves, you never want to see Cold Stare get loose like that. You see that and immediately it's like, you feel it in your chest immediately. That's not the way it's supposed to happen. Josh even shooting his fire rod that he didn't switch to the mirror.
That skull bush from Blunt, I have never gotten hit there.
That's a rare one.
The very last patch of grass on the screen. Another Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch, a mirror block erase by pushing a block. When you're pushing a block in a room where the mirror doesn't do anything, if you mirror while the block is moved and in its sprite state, the block disappears. Interesting side effect, if you do that, every time you bonk in the room, no matter what wall you bonk off of, you will bonk up. I don't know why. So on our way to Swamp, intended dungeon number 2. You're not going to die in here, probably, but you will find plenty of new and exciting ways to lose time. Every room has some very regrettable enemy RNG that you can... Interesting dashing from Blunt. Some very regrettable enemy RNG that can cost you frames here or there. But health is not really your big issue. 5708 lever pull from Blunt. I'm going to use that to kind of time their difference.
Yeah, we were at about a 35-second difference coming out of ice. We will see Josh take just a little bit of time to get some extra arrows and bombs that Blunt will probably be able to skip. And we'll just see how all that works out.
So 31 seconds separate the runners right now, 5708 to 5739. Now a chunk of that could be made up if one runner gets, if Josh gets the 0 cycle and Blunt doesn't, but that also works the other way, where if Blunt gets the quick kill on the boss and Josh does not, that could be a 7-second swing in that direction. So,
yeah, worth remembering that we did have a swing in the last race from Blunt being behind by just a few seconds for a lot of Dark World to getting the 0 cycle and pulling ahead of Josh after Swamp last race. Then he held that advantage in Mire and then basically won in Turtle Rock when Josh died. So this is a dungeon that, despite the fact that in some ways it's trivial, it has been important in this series in the past.
Blunt making his way upstairs now to grab the big key. Josh a few rooms behind. And that big key will enable us to get the dungeon item of Swamp, the hook shot, one of the more interesting items in the game for all of its many uses. From hook dashing and sword climbing, the use of the hook shot for iframes in the Ganon fight and in a few other instances. The glitch, having hook dashing be able to put you in the same glitch state as spin speed is going to be used later in this dungeon. Just a very interesting and versatile item.
And we did see Gap down to about 29 seconds. We had a 59 flat big key for Blunt versus a 59-29 for Josh. So I would say Josh is kind of starting to turn up the heat a little bit here, whereas Blunt has had a few bonks, a few missteps. And we're just hoping it's not too little too late and that this race can tighten up in the end here. Blunt is having a bit of problems with this red buzz blob.
Yeah. So you're going to see Josh use the hook shot to get into the glitch state here. That lets him push the statue with that weird walking animation, and it lets him pick up the skull pop from underneath the statue due to it changes the way that you interact with sprites and the order that you interact with them in. But it just little time saves.
And since blue balls are being discussed in the chat, really good blue ball luck this entire series for Blunt. He got 1 and then 2 and then 1, but not bad for Josh either. He got 5 and then 1 and then 3, so not big blue ball differences so far.
Oh, Blunt had a little bit of trouble kicking off his hook dash for this, and he is not going to be able to pull off the 0 cycle.
No, I think he still got it.
No, he did! Wow!
Yeah, he still held on to it, so that's a great work by Blunt, and that is going to keep his edge very safe. You know, in a run that was almost world record early today, we saw Zelda with a similar thing where he actually slashed the last 2 puffs and was still able to get the 0 cycle. Josh will not retain his 0 cycle here. So this gap will widen back up to at least 35 seconds, I would suggest.
Yeah, no extra movements after the first cycle on Josh's side, but still, you know, it's about 6 to 7 seconds for that 0 cycle. So as we come out of Swamp, we will keep an eye on their sort up times here. Blunt with a 1:02:05. And now the second shopping trip of the run will begin. We're going to go and pick up the Ether Medallion on top of Death Mountain and the Ice Rod on the east side of Lake Hylia, and then make our way over to Misery Mire. Nice sword climb there from Blunt. Basically a sword out hook dash on the ladder lets you get into this weird state where you move pretty quick. Yeah, it looked to be about 36 or 37 seconds difference between the two. Oh, 30 seconds flat. Okay. So
yeah, interesting. The Blunt had so many problems in the swamp that Josh basically evened it back up, despite the 0 cycle versus the 1 cycle. I mean, compared to when they got their big keys, there was no change.
Right. And then coming up as we get... Ooh, Blunt's going to have trouble with that bomb. It is... Oh, wow.
That was just... I mean, Blunt is saving himself by frames and by pixels so far. You know,
yeah, I think...
past few minutes.
I think that bomb was just about as far to the right as it could have been and still blown that hole open. But as we see our racers fluting over to 6, you're going to see the start of the latest new glitch, the spooky action glitch. By moving and picking this rock up from below, it causes the bird to leave the screen at a specific height. That sets a variable called altitude. And that altitude variable is used to decide where the fire rod's area of effect is going to be. And by having the bird leave at that height, it sets the area of effect altitude to be in such a way that you can actually hit crystal switches from nearly a full screen away, some of which are not even going to be on the screen or in the same room as the runner. some mod is in the chat doing God's work right now.
We do see Blunt going for the fast Mire 2 strat and getting it.
Very nice.
That strat is, you know, in the main Mire 2 strat, you emphasize killing the Wizrobes first so that they don't have a chance to disappear. But in the fast one, you kill the Popo at the bottom first because he can move out of the way and be really weird, and you give yourself less time to kill the Wizrobes. We'll see what Josh does in this room.
Also,
same thing, and lots of success for both of them.
Yep. Blunt intelligently fire-rotting that bomb slug.
Yeah, that slug doesn't look impressive, but can take 4 hearts away from you.
Yep, and if you try to sword beam it, you will get hit in the back by the turret. So using the fire rod is thinking, very smart thinking.
We will see, I mean, this glitch that's coming up is going to be much higher stakes for Josh than for Blunt, because Josh does not have a bomb. He does not have a backup. We also see Blunt with more arrows, you know, and, you know, Josh is, you know, the skin of his teeth right now in this race. Obviously, anything can happen. There's still 20 minutes left, but something does need to happen.
Yeah, without having that backup bomb, pulling off the spooky glitch is essential for Josh keeping his hopes alive here. Both runners in a good health situation. They're going to take 3 intentional hearts of damage here in this spike floor room to get to hit this switch and pick up this key. You only need 4.5 hearts. You only need 4.25 hearts to do the optimal quick kill on Vitreous. So they will both be in good position. And you see Blunt now entering the basement, and this is where the spooky glitch will begin.
Interesting that Josh went for the spark gamble there. Did lose a heart, but got the spark gamble, saving a bit of time. He knows he needs to go all out.
So Blunt kicking up dust right before he places that block allows that misplaced altitude variable to stay in the right sprite slot. Now he's going to fire rod this bottom half of this spike, and you hear it clicking the peg switch that's actually about a screen up. And then in this room, he's going to fire rod into the anti-fairy. Oh, he missed it, but he has the bombs.
Misses the glitch, a big deal. And this will give Josh an opening, but Josh still needs to get the glitch, and he does not have the bomb backup.
He does not. And this is big. Okay, so Josh has got the first part of it. Blunt had to go all the way to the top and do the do that other switch. Josh did get it, so that is approximately a 12-second swing right there.
Yeah, and we are seeing the biggest, after Josh honestly has been bleeding time, we are seeing the biggest swing back in the other direction. We'll see how Vitreous goes for Blunt. It went, honestly, a gorgeous Vitreous. We'll see how it goes for Josh.
Yeah, the only issue with Blunt's Vitreous is he fired 1 arrow a little bit early, but he has the ammunition. Josh did get a 1 cycle, but still going to save some time here based off of that spooky glitch. So Crystal up at 108.52 for Blunt.
Yeah, 15 arrows versus 2 arrows. I don't think I've ever seen anybody having only 2 arrows after Vitreous.
15 seconds is the gap now.
Yeah, so this has gotten very interesting all of a sudden. And we're just going to have to see. I don't know. I mean, like you said, these players probably aren't even watching each other. And if I were Blunt, I would think I'm also behind.
If you've never seen anybody with 2 arrows after Vitreous, that's how I know that you don't watch me.
Okay.
So, on to the 7th and second to last Dark World dungeon, Turtle Rock. One last trip here to Death Mountain. Blunt getting through the rock garden pretty well. The Waffle House, as it would be.
Yeah, and a few worlds stopping Blunt so far, but he's managed pretty well. And same for Josh, making it through.
Josh got knocked out of his spin speed right at the top of the ladder by a boulder and was not able to get back to the ladder to reactivate it. And then catches a squirrel to the face. So Death Mountain not very kind to Josh this time around.
Yeah, if we were hoping for help from Death Mountain to even this up, it has not provided. It has been kinder to Blunt than to Josh.
Now, I will say that in both of the first two races, Chomp's room here in Turtle Rock has been the scene of the crime. In the first race, Blunt pretty much... It's hard to point to a single room and say this room lost you the race, but if you had to do one in the first race, it would be Chomp's. And then, of course, in the second race, well, Josh died in there. So that has been the scene of many tears shed thus far. Hopefully, both of these runners should have their fairy preserved, should be able to get into Chomp's with either a good amount of hearts or full. Now, of course, if Josh and Blunt are both going to do a damage boost strat here off of these rollers, so Josh is going to be down 4 hearts from where he is now. And if he doesn't get that fairy before Chomp's, he still has to be very careful in the Chomp's room. And there's the fairy for Blunt, going into Chomp's with full hearts, and is going to be able to use this. Oh, he opted to still use the cane, but gets through with no problems.
And another interesting choice, Josh choosing to mirror, switching to hookshot instead of Canis Samaria, so obviously not used to mirroring there. Yeah, an interesting choice there. Just does not feel like spending these hearts in case, he knows he died to Chomp's last time. He's giving Chomp's the respect and the space that the Chomps deserve, the run killers.
Yep, but he plays the Chomp's room very well. And Blunt executing the bottom left pokey 1 beautifully. Got the key dash and the bottom left kill. Very well done. In my opinion, one of the hardest strats in the game to execute well. To execute at all.
Yeah, and Blunt is just keeping his wits about him. Josh, that choice to mirror obviously was intelligent, but I don't know if I like it at this point. The fairy is coming up, and
he didn't get it there either.
That's true, he hasn't gotten it yet. So maybe proving me wrong.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that during the last race, whether or not he was going to mirror out going after taking some damage early in Turtle Rock and being low hearts going into the roller room. And he chose not to that time, and it didn't end well. So maybe that stuck in his head.
Yeah, interestingly, I expected it last time, but not this time. Not a great pattern here on these pokies, but he knows what to do. There's that fairy, there's that magic.
Both runners in a very good health situation. Something catastrophic would have to happen to see the red screen. But Laser Skip has also given these runners fits. No problem for Blunt this time. Very, very smooth.
Yeah, just gorgeous, caneless laser skip. He does bonk on that door.
Uses it to pick up the heart.
And a great cane dash in that maze. This has been a textbook T-Rock from Blunt, and has not quite been that way from Josh. So, despite saving that time in the mire, we're back to what we've seen through this Dark World. That just Blunt is just a little more consistent all the way through.
So going back to Tronix, going to use the Fire Rod 4 slashes, Ice Rod 4 slashes, one more Ice Rod, menu over to the Fire Rod, kill that the Fire Head, gets over and kills the Ice Head before it can lay down a hockey rink. And now going to get a double spin and a slash to finish up the main body. Menu to hook shot to use the hook dash coming out of Turtle Rock. Very well done from Blunt. About 36 seconds separating the runners right now. Oh! Josh is having trouble. He cannot run out of magic here, or it is lights out.
Does not menu to Fire Rod. He's going to have some ice on the floor here. And he barely saves it. I don't know. I would be, if I were Josh, I would be thanking my lucky stars that I have even survived the many occurrences of the recent parts of this race. And your standard Josh menu there.
Well, at this point, it is BluntBunny's race to lose. So we come up on Ganon's Tower, the final exam of the Link to the Past speedrun. All of your items, all of your skills are going to be tested throughout this dungeon. Enemies that hit hard, hit fast. Blunt trying to go for a lag reduction strat, but is not able to get far enough below the tower. But yeah, throughout this entire dungeon, you're going to be tested. And you either pass and you live, or you fail and you die. Well, I'm going to opt to skip the torch key and get the third of... There's 3 keys that you have to get one of them. And he's going to opt to get the fastest one. A little bit, probably the hardest one to get, but... Having a little bit of trouble boomeranging that switch to there because of the Stelphos.
Yeah, he just didn't realize that he hadn't hit the switch yet, and lost his head a little bit there. So maybe a little bit of nerves on Blunt's side as well, but definitely not affecting him the way that it is for Josh.
Yep, Josh getting that lag reduction strat. It's going to need all the help he can get from here on out. And of course, arrows are a big consideration for Josh. There are 5 arrows that he's just going to stumble into, and then there is 5 on the other side of an optional warp that costs a bit of time, or he might go for a 10 arrow chest that is right before Ice Armos, or a 5 arrow pot. 10 arrow chest would be the fastest option, but it involves a strat that he's probably not terribly practiced with. And Blunt is falling into the first of the Light World boss refights. Gonna refight all 4 Light World bosses, Armos, Landmo, Moldorm, and Agahnim, but twist, Armos' twist is he is on ice. But Blunt triple sow cows his way to victory, and the Armos mites are defeated.
I like that, sow cow. That's throwing me back to the Winter Olympics.
Was the only skating move I could think of. And on our way to the upper parts of Ganon's Tower, and some of the hardest rooms to optimize, these Mimics rooms. The red Mimics will mirror Link's movements in horizontal directions. Blunt.
Josh does get that 10-arrow chest. Barely, he did get hit, but he made it over anyway, so good work by him.
Josh cleaning up the ice armos while Blunt goes through the spike trap. And Blunt is on his way to the gauntlet. 5 rooms of increasing obstacles and difficulty. Is going to start off with spikes and conveyors. Gonna start off with conveyors. Add in Demos. Add in spikes. Add in ice, and 5 very difficult rooms to clear quickly. Blunt handles the first 2 very well. Josh going into mimics.
Nice bonk there. Really quite a good room there.
Josh's mimics are excellent, as they usually are.
But a very solid gauntlet from Blunt. No issues there.
Meanwhile, Josh is heading through the spike trap room, and Blunt is onto the second Light World refight, the Land Molas. Gets a good pattern from all 3 worms and is able to get them all on the first cycle. Meanwhile, Josh is entering the gauntlet, and Blunt continues on. Next up are the Wizrobe rooms 1 and 2, both of which will be dispatched quickly with the Cane of Samaria. Good gauntlet 2 from Josh.
And great fire rod strat there, picking up the magic. What incredible gauntlets from both players. Absolutely phenomenal. Both of them have to be really happy with their execution there.
There you saw the weird area of effect where that... What is that lag? Josh getting an extraordinary amount of lag coming out of Gauntlet 5. Blunt delaying to not get the GT despawn.
Yeah, just playing it that extra bit safe. These G towers have been great from both players. I'm glad, after so many question marks early in the run, both players have really played phenomenally through, especially through that gauntlet. Very quick Moldarm 2 for BluntBunny.
GT torches handled by Josh. Gonna get his magic. He's gonna go straight to the stairs. Knows he doesn't have to worry about the despawn.
Josh walking across those spikes, he says, I don't have time to not take damage.
Oh! Bonked off the bombable wall before it had a chance to blow.
Triple from Blunt to begin with here. And this could be another triple. And an incredible 2-cycle from Blunt. What a phenomenal Ganon's Tower at such an important moment.
That is about as good as a GT as you're going to see in a race setting. Gauntlet was excellent. 2-cycle Aga. Barely any mistakes to speak of.
Yeah, and Blunt has closed this out very nicely. And now he's got 9.5 hearts. All he needs is Ganon. And we're going to be seeing a 125 from Blunt, I suggest.
So we're going to drop in Ganon, a 4-phased fight. First phase, you got to do 12 slashes worth of damage, so we're going to get 3 slashes, a double spin for 4 more. He's going to warp down, and then we need to get 5 slashes to finish up phase 1. Now he's going to get 12 more slashes, and using those hook shots for iframes. And was that a 2-cycle for Josh, too?
No, that was a 3+2+1 from Josh. Still a very good Aga 2, but the second cycle was just not quite the right position for him to get all 3 hits.
Yep. Phase 3 for Ganon, you basically have to wait for him to stop warping so you can hit him, and hit him 4 times. As the 4 outer floor tile rows will vanish. And then on this last one, he's going to get a free spin out of this text box. Unfortunately, not able to get a second spin due to the position of the warp, but it's going to activate the torch glitch here. Lighting the left one before the right goes out means the right will never go out. Josh getting through phase 1, getting a very good warp pattern, getting a double spin and a slash to finish it off. Meanwhile, Blunt just has to spin to win, get his triples, light his torches, and... Oh, wow! Walked right into a
forgot
fire
where
bat.
he was in the count there. He's definitely feeling the nerves. If he's not watching Josh, he's probably wondering, is Josh going to dot done? And there's the race. That's going to be a 125-21 or so for BluntBunny.
That will do it for the 2008 Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament. BluntBunny comes away our champion. We're going to see if we can get him and Josh in here to talk. But that's it. Blunt is the winner. Josh, of course, is going to finish this off. With a few more spins to the big blue pig. (2018). 2018. I wish it were still 2008. 2008 was a good year.
Me too. That's around when this game came out, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And in the end, we're seeing a 1-minute difference between the two players. Excellent race. And all congratulations to both of them. They've shown us so much skill and so much resolve throughout this whole tournament.
And as Josh crosses the finish line, that brings the 2018 Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament to an end. Our winner is BluntBunny, 2 races to 1 here in the finals. And 128 competitors entered the tournament, and in the end, there could be only one. And if you got him, get your knobs out for our winner, BluntBunny. And let's see our cute little friend Dataface in the chat to show some love to Josh. And that will wrap it up. Let's still trying to get either runner in for... Okay, I think we've got BluntBunny, but he has his headset and his mic. There's Blunt. Congratulations, sir, on your victory here in the tournament. How do you feel?
Pretty good. I'm actually surprised I won after that run, because I wasn't paying attention to where Josh was.
Yeah, we were speculating on that. When we noticed you missing a spin in Ganon, I was saying he actually probably is expecting Josh to dot done at almost any second here.
Yeah, I was, because that Hera was so bad, and then like I was so tilted like the rest of the run because of it.
Yeah, that was really... I mean, what were your thoughts coming out of Light World? Because really... I mean, especially the Hera, but really kind of all through Light World, there were kind of just little things here and there. You know, there were bonks and getting hit by enemies in strange places, and of course the fall on Moldorm and missing the bomb jump. Then you get one blue ball and you're kind of back into it. What were your thoughts going into Dark World? Because it seemed like you kind of started to stabilize your play around Palace of Darkness or Thieves Town.
It was like, when I got one blue ball, I was like, well, either Josh is going to have to get really screwed somewhere, because like I said, I don't know what happened to him. I'm hoping he comes in here so I can... Because it looked like he maybe got a lot of blue balls or something.
No.
But I guess it was 3 according to my chat.
Yeah, 3-1.
But yeah, I was less nervous going into Dark World, because I was like, oh, Hera's done, so there's really nothing else to worry about the rest of the run outside of Cold Stare, really.
Now, Josh had he had some trouble on Cold Stare. He had to chase down the puffs, dodge the ice crystals. Nearly took a death there, but was able to pull it out. Got it back to within 15 seconds when you casually fire out of the top wall and bombable wall.
Oh my god, yeah. I've never done that. That's the first time that's happened, and I was like, that's why I've been grabbing the bomb like every single race.
Yeah, we noticed you getting that bomb in Thieves Town, and we were saying, I guess it's just in case, right?
It's always just in case, because You'll either lose a bomb going in to get the ice rod sometimes because of the crabs, but that and for the Mire stuff too, because I saw Andy lose a race because of that. Was it Andy?
Yes.
I think it may have been the third place match against TGH.
Right. Because that's why I was like, that's why I'm grabbing the bomb, because if you can't get a bomb anywhere unless that Stalfos is next to drop a bomb in that room, but you have to go back so far to get a bomb.
Yeah, speaking
and you
of
end up
the
using the
crab,
bomb in Ganon's tower anyway, so it's not like it's bad to have that bomb.
No, not at all. I mean, even in runs, I'm kind of like, I'm not grabbing the Thieves bomb, but I'm okay with having the extra bomb because I can just skip it in T-Rock, I guess, but I'm not too concerned with that just yet.
Speaking of crabs, when you were going to the Ice Red Cave, I'm pretty sure that bomb was about as far away from the hole as it could have been.
I was like, I swear to God, I was gonna like throw my controller through my TV, because the last 5 runs I've gotten to Mire have all like died in the overworld somehow. Like the one I did earlier, I had the same exact thing happen, except the crabs actually got me, where they like squeezed between me when I was trying to throw the bomb. So I don't know how I got that bomb in there, but whatever. I'm glad it worked. I was just as surprised as you guys probably were.
Yeah, that was like pixels away.
Yeah. I was like, how did it open? I was really surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get a chance to get Josh. I haven't seen him on Discord, so I just whispered him the link on Twitch. But I mean,
let's talk about your Ganon's tower, Blunt, because I was feeling maybe starting out, I was thinking maybe Blunt's a little nervous. You had that thing with the boomerang where you boomeranged the switch without having hit it yet, and then you get into Gauntlet, and you had an absolutely phenomenal Gauntlet, and then you have this 2-cycle Aga 2. It was really good execution right at the end there.
Yeah, I was actually a little upset that the start of that tower didn't go well, because that would have been a pretty big gold, I think, because it was 704. Yeah, and I was like plus 8 going into Gauntlet or something like that, 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
So I got a 706, 704. Yeah, 704. So if that would have been a normal tower, that could have been like a sub 7 easily.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked incredibly clean. The Moldrum 2 was right there for you. You had the very good Landmo 2.
The torch room, I think I got hit too, right? I think I got hit on the way down to dashing down in the first torch room. I think that was the only other mistake. And then I waited for the sprite despawn thing because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to like soft lock and Ganon's tower either.
Yeah. Real quick, I have a list here that we've been compiling, and I want to make sure we get a chance to congratulate these people. This is a big list. This is everybody that PB'd in a tourney race. And it's you've got Andy, Andy4H, Mystery Tourney Andy, Cosmo, Christos Owen, Elmegus, Emosaru, Arafram, Eudaimonistic, Felix TC, Feral Pigman, Fricker, Gerdo, Gesselchef, In the Name of DT, Jerby, John Rossum, JSR, Korek, Cruskater, Lanxian, Link Orange, Lyra, Mashy, Mr. Wonder, Negazeus, Nikki Noel, Ninnies, NRG Zam, Pika Pals, S Diesel, Simple Dude, Space Cat Universe, Swerve, Takazi, TV Ham, Temple, Tina Hacks, Vascos, Walrus Prime, and Yellsrake. In the course of this tournament, all of these people have gotten PBs in tourney races. I wanted to take a moment and congratulate each and every one of them for all of their improvement throughout the tourney and for participating. I'd been looking for that list for about the past hour and a half, and I just stumbled upon it. So,
wait, those were people that
in tourney races.
In a tourney race, okay.
Yes. There apparently I missed Zero Rush, but I'm sure there are more. But those are the ones that that we were able to notice and collect. A lot of tourney PBs. All, like Runner Watcher mentioned, all 8 quarterfinalists PB'd at some point during the tourney, either in practice or otherwise. but a lot of improvement, a lot of new runners. We almost have 100 sub 130s.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, when I started watching this game, there were no active runners with a sub 130. It was like 6 months after I started watching that people like ACM and Solidus and Andy were starting to get to 129s, and the skill level of this game is just insane at the moment.
Yeah, I think when I started, there was... I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was less than 30. Less than 30 sub 130 players. There was a lot of 130 players, but not a lot of sub 130 players.
When I started, we still talked about cutting the whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a thing anymore.
That's ancient history now.
Now everybody just is like, yeah, I've been playing for 2 weeks and I've got some sub 130. What have you done?
Yeah, 125 is the new 130, I think.
Yeah, or maybe 120. Yeah, I guess, no, I would say 126 maybe. I feel like you still, I don't know. It's hard to say, I guess, because there is a lot more resources than there were back when, like, you or me started Runner Watcher.
Yeah,
I know when I started, you and me were pretty close in skill level for a while, I think.
Yeah, there was a very memorable tournament race where somebody, I forget who, but somebody died on Argus.
Oh my
between the two of us.
You beat me that race too, which is crazy. I forgot about that.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, he won, so I mean...
Yeah, you had, what was it, you ran out of magic on Trinex or something, or something crazy?
I died in Turtle Rock, I'm pretty sure. I thought I died, or yeah, maybe I ran out of magic or something, but I remember watching that race as I was doing that race, and like seeing you die to Argus, and then I was like, all right, I should have this. It should be fine. Nope, I died to Argus, or died in Turtle Rock. It was like a very late death too, I think.
I think the person who eliminated me from that tournament was Eddie, so yeah, real throwback there to people who have now gotten incredibly good.
Oh yeah, Eddie was very new back then too.
Yeah, we were talking before the race about how 2018 has been quite the year for this game, between all the new runners, all the new sub 130s, new world record a couple of days ago. Zelda reasserting his place at the top of the charts.
Almost another one today.
Almost another one today. I'm calling it now that by the time the year is out, you will see the first 122 in Link to the Past history. And maybe at least one more 123 runner joining the three that already have it, Zelda, WQ, and DMD. New glitch. Tournament's been a blast. It has been. We got new resources like the God Splice. Thank you for that. It has been quite a year for Link to the Past, and I'm glad that the first half of it has been able to be filled with all of the races in these tournaments. This tournament
gave me a good reason to really level up, which I'd like to say, because since Josh isn't here, if it wasn't for Josh, I honestly wouldn't be where I'm at in this game right now, because we spent the first 2 months of this year really just grinding rooms to a pulp. Just both of us back and forth just to get everything right in the God Splice, or as close as we could. So he's probably, if not the most knowledgeable top player in this game. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be anywhere near where I'm at. Like he seriously helped me understand a lot of things that I didn't even know about this game. So got to give him a shout out for that.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing speedrun science from Josh. Incredibly helpful, incredibly nice guy. And you as well, Blunt. Just, I mean, it's such a great thing, not just about Link to the Past, but about speedrun communities in general. Just there's no hoarding of information. There's no hiding of strats.
No.
It's all completely collaborative, and everybody's just trying their best to make everybody play as well as they can.
Yeah.
And it's honestly quite different than any other, competitive environment I've been in.
Yeah. There's so much depth to the game too. Like, I feel like I still learn new things. Actually, just recently I learned there's a three arrows up, 2 arrows left ice armor strat. I've never noticed the entire time I've played this game. It's so weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
doing that
I was
for a
doing
long time.
I was doing 2 arrows and 2 arrows left, and that was causing me a lot of problems with ice armor. I'm sure most people know that, but
Oh, there's also a 4-up, 2 left that's even easier.
yeah, I know. But though 3 up, 2 left is like almost the same as 2 up, 2 left.
Yeah. But if anybody is looking for a new speed game, come play Link to the Past. We've got categories out the wazoo. You've got no major glitches that you've seen in this tournament. We've got other fun categories like all dungeons, no EG, all bosses, swordless, reverse boss order. If you want to play with glitches, we got that. If you want to play with no major glitches, we got that. We've got all sorts of things. We've got resources. We will help you. Don't play 100%. It's a bad category.
No. that's not fair. I'm promoting 100%. Look, 100% is awful to grind. It's even worse to grind than it is NMG, but at least it's kind of like chill. It's a chill race category.
It's a great race category.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That was the first category I learned for this game, by the way, for those who don't know. Like, I learned 100%. I think I played it for about a month or so before I actually learned NMG. I know there's a few of you out there that did the same, but
I kid.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm team 100% over here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and say the best categories are Master Sword and Defeat Ganon EG.
What is...
They don't call it Defeat Ganon EG anymore. It's just
Wait, what do they call it?
It's just Defeat Ganon.
Oh, well.
You're showing your age.
I'm old. I turned 31. I'm way too old for speed gaming.
Okay. I will keep my born in '84 mouth quiet then.
I'm right around the corner, so.
But I think for the last time, until next time, that will wrap it up for us. We'll see. We had a tournament in 2015, 2016, nothing in 2017. We had one this year. Maybe somebody will be crazy enough to do this again next year.
Yeah, thanks for putting it together, you and Greenham. I know you guys had to deal with quite the task of running a tournament. I know it's not easy, so thanks for putting it together.
I'm glad to do it, but just this once.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't have anything else. Oh, one last thing to say. If you're gonna learn this game, resetting and escape in Eastern is dumb. Don't do it.
Resetting in Light World's dumb.
Resetting in Light World's dumb. Don't do it.
Yeah, just don't reset it all. Just
finish runs. Just finish
the
your
best
dang
way to
run.
learn is you practice a lot and then you beat the game when you feel like beating the game, and you don't stop until you've beaten the game. And then if you want to beat the game again, you beat the game again. Eventually you'll PB and you'll improve a lot as you do.
Yeah, just beat the game. But yeah, what's that thing that I say? I have been and will continue to be Scrivo. I've been joined by Runner Watcher, who has always been an absolute pleasure to commentate us beside. And we are joined by our tournament champion, BluntBunny. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rolling out.
Rolling out.
Rolling out.